Begin by telling you that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has released former Sokoto State Governor Aminu Tambuwal a day after he was detained over alleged fraudulent cash withdrawals totaling 189 billion naira. Tambuwal, who currently represents Sokoto South in the Senate, was freed on Tuesday after meeting his bail conditions. The former governor, who also served as Speaker of the House of Representatives, had honored an EFCC invitation on Monday, arriving at the Commission's headquarters in Abuja at about 11:30 a.m. He was subsequently interrogated and detained overnight. In the meantime, the African Democratic Congress has sharply condemned the EFCC for its investigations into several prominent opposition figures, including former Sokoto State Governor Aminu Tambuwal, former Imo State Governor Emeka Ihedioha, and Senator David Mark. The party accused the EFCC of conducting a politically motivated campaign aimed at discrediting opposition leaders ahead of the 2027 elections. Bolaji Abdullahi, ADC's interim National Publicity Secretary, described the agency's action as a choreographed media trial orchestrated by the ruling party to intimidate opposition voices. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has also criticized the investigations, warning that such tactics could undermine Nigeria's fight against corruption and threaten democratic institutions. International policy analyst and journalist Adeniyi Kunnu joins us now to discuss this. Hello, Adeniyi, can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you doing? And thank you for having me. I can hear you. Yes, I can.
Thank you for joining us. Adeniyi, can you tell us to what extent does the ADC's reaction reflect broader concerns about selective prosecution in Nigeria's anti-corruption drive?
For students of contemporary Nigerian politics, you'll understand that when the EFCC was founded in the year 2000, the story from the opposition angle remains the same in terms of how people have described the EFCC. The current National Security Advisor, of course, Nuhu Ribadu, was then the first EFCC chairperson, as you may want to have me remind you. And I remember that Atiku Abubakar, who has spoken strongly, and President Olusegun Obasanjo during the administration, were the one who founded the EFCC. And I must remind those who care to listen that back then, those were the statements made until the Obasanjo administration got out of office, and it became a real problem for Nuhu Ribadu that at some point he was living in London, because a lot of people felt it was used as a political tool for making it an objectification. And that's the fact of the matter. If you also come to the last administration, you want to look at all of the allegations made against the EFCC chairperson. And even right now, it appears as if we have what I call a cycle and repeat. So you want to agree with me here that what Atiku is saying is not out of place, because we've seen some narratives before. But of course, let's also understand that the person of Tambuwal, who was the governor of Sokoto State, has left office for a while. Why do we have to wait up until this moment to actually, be able to raise issues regarding all of the allegations that are being put against or being leveled against him now? You would have expected them to have taken this step long before the coalition of the ADC was formed. And they've given room because of that to talk to the political party in power in the party of the APC. That what they are doing now is to be used as political tools against opposition power to whittle them down. That once you join, of course, the APC, your sins are forgiven and perfumes are sprayed upon you. And once you refuse, such a thing happens as what we see going on with Tambuwal. So I need to emphasize here that we wait to see the extent that the EFCC will go, because we've seen this narrative before. So we're really waiting to see what happens. That's actually what it is.
Can you also tell us how these investigations affect political pluralism and the democratic space in Nigeria, especially in the in the lead up to major elections?
It does in a lot of ways, really, and that is why whoever has held any kind of office before now must really, really be careful with regard to their participation in politics. And let me also say this. If they talk about all of the issues raised, they're talking about unlawful withdrawals. In the first place, Tambuwal happens not to be the only PDP, former PDP governor. We have other governors that perhaps are associated with the opposition party in the party of the ADC. So when you talk about political pluralism, it has to be based on the fact that those who are aligning and trying to make sense of the political space are themselves with clean hands as they come to equity. It is very, very important. Rauf Aregbesola was a former governor of the Sokoto State in the APC. Former Senate President David Mark remains a stalwart of the PDP. So perhaps if these kind of withdrawals have not been detected, I do not think that Tambuwal would have been invited by the EFCC. And Emeka Ihedioha. And let me also say why it becomes very, very revealing. Emeka Ihedioha was actually there for a brief period of time up until the current governor of Imo State got into office. So it's also very surprising to find that for such a short time in office, somebody has had to have his name among those that the EFCC appears to be looking for. So I just need us to understand that political pluralism is vibrant, is healthy. But of course, if you do not want the EFCC to come after you, there are certain things that you're expected also not to do. And if after you do that, well, I do not know how then you want to cover your track. So I need to say here that political pluralism should be something done without fear or favor. It has to be something done because every nation, especially the very weighty history of Nigeria, as the most populous black nation in the world, as a country that has actually done what I describe as creating first strides in virtually all walks of life, I think that it is important for the politicians to learn a lot from the kind of country that they have the privilege of serving in their respective capacity, so that we don't have this smear on them. But ultimately, anybody who wants to actually be long in the opposition and wants to actually do things that will strengthen political opposition must also remember that he or she must come there with clean hands.
Okay, before you go, can you tell us how, we see that there's a lot of frequent criticism from political parties such as the ADC. How might this affect the credibility of the EFCC?
Well, let me say first that the world over, the agencies of government are bound by law to follow the guiding principles associated with the establishment. But ultimately, we cannot take away the leaning of such government agencies from actually being used as tools in the hands of those who perhaps are there at the moment. Don't forget, when I started this conversation with you, I referenced what happened in the year 2001, 2002, 2003, and I have also referenced what had happened before. I'm making it closer in terms of what happened during the administration of the former President Muhammadu Buhari of blessed memory. So when we look at how agencies of government have been countenanced, it goes to tell you that oftentimes it's difficult not to divorce agencies of government from such things that are happening. So when you are talking about what they talk about, okay, let me tell you right now. Right now, the president of the country, where I am, the US, has actually deployed the National Guard to California because of certain things that have been going on. And data shows that crimes have actually reduced, but they are looking at the National Guard as an agency of government being used by the President of the United States of America to whittle down the capacity of the state. But the narratives are not here and there. So it is usually the narrative that an agency of government will have to oftentimes obey the instructions and the guidelines first of what actually brought about its existence, and of course the dictate of the government in power. And that is what we see. And it is why I have said it's important for opposition parties to behave themselves so that when they truly want to represent what constitutes legitimacy in opposition, nobody's harassing them or threatening their existence, because that is what it's all about. If you want to be vibrant opposition, then you do not have to be found to have done something that is bad or that will actually change your image. And that is where the narrative appears to have been splattered here and there since this conversation started.
Thank you so much, Adeniyi, for joining us at this time.